It is only 7 weeks to my first ever half marathon, so the half marathon training is in full swing now. So in today's video, we're going to show you another week of the half marathon training block. Now last week, I ran my last ever race before the half marathon at the Snetterton 10k, where I did actually run a 10k PB. However, racing a 10k midweek did disrupt the flow of my half marathon training, but with that being my last race, this means now I can fully lock in and focus on the half marathon training. So if you're new to this series, I will show you a week of my half marathon training, and I will also show you some tips and tricks which will hopefully get me into the best possible half marathon shape. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So this morning I decided to do some strength and conditioning to start the week through some plank repeats. So the structure of this session was that I did a plank for 1 minute, then had a recovery, and then repeated again, doing the process doing another plank for another minute. So in total I did 5 repeats, meaning that I did 5 1-minute planks. Planks can be very beneficial for runners. Being an isometric contraction, it can help strengthen many different parts of the body. One area of the body which the plank improves is the core, and a strong core can also lead to an improved running form. And if you've been watching the channel for a while now, you'd know my running form is not the best. Speaking of form, throughout these planks I had a particular focus of trying to keep my plank form as best as possible. I tried to ensure my bum would not stick up too high in the air, and overall make sure my posture stayed as good as possible for as long as possible. By the 4th plank I was definitely shaking and the form was starting to go quite a bit, but overall I'm pretty happy with putting in a solid effort then. Alright guys, so Monday night, that means it is a track session at Northgate held by my running club Jaffa, and as you can see by my hair, it was quite a bit of rain. Also the nature elements, they weren't on our side because it was also extremely windy on one straight. On the screen now is the Strava and the session details. To be fair, this is a pretty good session. You know, for the half marathon training, this is a pretty good session, and in total we did 13 kilometers, which is quite a lot, and it's on the upper side for mileage on a track session. So yeah, a very good session for the half marathon training. However, for me myself, oh man, did not feel good. That's probably one of the toughest sessions I've had in a very, very long time. I mean, first of all, the wind. I do not do well in the wind. The running form completely went. And for the first half of the session, we did do alright. But in the second half, I completely dropped the pace. My legs, they felt like jelly. But the main problem was down below. And I'm not talking about the legs, I'm talking about somewhere else. But we won't go into details. But overall, we did not feel the best during tonight's session. But I feel it's good to show nights like this, because we can't do well every night. We can't do brilliantly every night, because you've got to have the bad runs to be able to cherish the good runs. And tonight, well, that was one of the bad runs. I mean, this is what I like about the series. I can show it to you guys that the sessions, they're not always going to be good. There's going to be nights where you do runs and you're going to feel, why the hell have I chosen to do a half marathon? Well, now you've got to look to the future, and for me, looking towards the future, it will be recovering the legs. So we're going to be doing quite a bit of stretching tonight, and also we're going to bring out the massage gun, because I can tell you now, when your legs are tired, that massage gun for all my days, it do you favours. Alright guys, so yesterday it was quite a humbling experience. I'm still in shock, quite frankly, because to be honest with you, I've gone for quite a while now. I've been on very good form. So to have a run like that, it really was quite a shock to the system. But today, the priority, it is recovery. So this morning, the second I woke up, I went for my recovery run. 10k on the trails. I love to go on the trails because after a bad run, I would always go on the trails, because unlike the concrete surfaces, the trails, they're more softer, and basically this means there's less stress on the joints. So it's very good for recovery. As you can see on the screen now, I've got some videos which I took on my bike on the exact same trail which I was running on. For the reasons I'll tell you, I was on my bike in a second. But yeah, it is very good to go on the trails for a recovery run, and I definitely would recommend you to do that. Overall, I felt pretty happy with that run. I kept things nice and comfortable, pretty consistent, and it was an out and back run, and one way it was windy, the other way it wasn't. The windy part was going back, which wasn't ideal, but having saying that, I still felt pretty good both ways. So overall, I am pretty happy with that run. So the reason I was on my bike is because this morning we're going to the Snap Fitness gym, so I will see you there. Alright guys, so we are back from the gym now, and in total I cycled there and back, which was roughly about 14 to 15 kilometers of cycling. So yeah, that is pretty good cross training, and it's also some light exercise for covering the legs. So for the gym itself, recently we've been doing free trials around the area, going to different gyms in Ipswich, and today I went to Snap Fitness in Martlesham. So in total today at the gym, we did do a bit of cardio, 3 kilometers on the elliptical machine, but the main part of the gym session was we did an upper body, because that is where I need to improve, because naturally my upper body, the muscles there, they're very weak, they're not very strong. So we focused on some particular areas, including the pectorals, the deltoids, and also other areas in the shoulder and the chest. So yeah, I took a few pictures of the machines which I used, and yeah, overall this is a change which I've only just made recently, so hopefully I can see a positive impact in my running performances based on this change. But over the summer holiday, I'm going to use some more free trials at different gyms, and then when it comes to September, hopefully we will get a membership at one of the gyms. And yeah, in total, I think it's good to aim to go for a gym session at least once a week. I feel like I've said this a lot, but improving your upper body, it can improve your running form, and that is something which is very important for me. Alright guys, so today is Wednesday, which means we will be doing our second session for the week, and because I've identified my weakness being the hills, today it will be a hill session. So for this evening I will be going to Christchurch Park, which is quite a famous park in Ipswich, and it is quite famous for their hills there, so it certainly is going to be a good workout. The hills at Christchurch Park, they're long and they're steep, so it certainly is going to be ideal for training for the half marathon hill in Preston. If you don't know what the Ipswich half marathon course looks like, about 16 kilometers, I believe it's around that point in the course. There is about a kilometer or so up a very steep hill in Preston. So the aim of these hill sessions is going to be to train me to be able to go through the hills after doing quite a bit of mileage already, but also not just going up the hill, but being able to maintain the pace afterwards. Because one thing which I've noticed is that I can get up the hill, but once I get up the hill, I've run out of steam, I've run out of energy, and then I slow down. So yeah, the point of these sessions is for me to conquer the hills and for me to be confident going up those hills by race day. So today's video was captured on a new GoPro which I've recently just bought. Therefore I'm still playing around with some of the settings and it is a tiny little bit shaky, so I do apologise for that. Anyways, today I chose to go to Christchurch Park because I had some unfinished business to do in there. What I'm talking about is that last Saturday I did the parkrun located in Christchurch Park, and well, I absolutely died going up those hills. So today I needed to extract my revenge and go and conquer those hills in today's hill session. So the details of the session went along the lines of something like this. So for the first part of the session I would do something known as a continuous loop. So the loop would start at the bottom of the hill where I would go up the hill at quite a hard effort. I would then go back down the hill at more of a recovery effort to get the legs ready for the next effort. And actually this loop came out at 1 kilometer exactly, so it was pretty good for keeping count of how consistent my splits were. So this continuous loop had no rest, and in total I did 6 loops of this continuous loop. I felt this was a good part of the session because I could develop my endurance up those hills and be able to continue the intensity rep after rep. Also, the hill which I was going up was long and a very steep incline, so this was exactly the type of hill which I'd be going up in Preston in the half marathon. Meanwhile, moving on to the second half of the session, and I switched up things completely, going from the endurance to the speed, because located in the centre of the park is an extremely steep hill. The hill is quite short, but the steep incline is absolutely mental. In total I did 7 of these hill sprints, and they were very good for developing the explosiveness in my legs to be able to develop how to get up those hills. So this therefore could allow me to develop some speed for going up those hills. Overall I was pretty happy with this session because it had quite a good balance between the endurance and the speed, so this will definitely be a session I will do again in the future. Alright guys, so we're back from the hill session, and on the screen now is the Strava. In total, including the warm-up and the cool down, that was 13k in total, and that was definitely a brutal session. 200 246 meters of elevation in one run. That is, honestly, guys, that is crazy. 246 meters in one run. That is crazy. But those are the type of sessions which you'll be seeing more often, because we need to do those. We need to conquer those hills and be ready to go up that hill at Preston in the half marathon. As already mentioned, we had some unfinished business at Christchurch Park tonight, and I can tell you now we definitely did finish that business, because that session, it was a tough one. The first half, the 6 continuous loops, going up hard on the hill and then going recovery back down the hill. I felt the splits, they were very consistent, and that hill, I'll tell you now, it's a long hill with a steep incline, so it's a very tough hill, and to be able to have consistent splits, to be able to still go strong on that 6th split, I'm very happy with that consistency. Then moving on to the second half of the session at those 7 hill sprints. Now this sprint, 200 meters, and the incline for just 200 meters is absolutely crazy, and I felt I was pretty good going up those hills. We were still strong on the 7th split as well, just like on the continuous loops, and the sprint, it was explosive, and I felt I was pretty good going up those hills. Overall, that was a very tough session, but those are the type of sessions which make or break me for this half marathon, and we definitely will be doing more type of those sessions on Wednesdays. But overall, I am pretty happy. That was quite a solid session, and I was pretty happy with how I dealt with those hills tonight. So overall, taking in how Monday went, I'm pretty happy with this bounce back. So yeah, for Wednesday's hill session today, I'm very happy with how that went. For anybody who doesn't know, this right here is a massage gun which you massage against your legs after runs, and boy oh boy is this thing a miracle. If I didn't have one of these in my possession, I don't know if I would still be running. I'd highly recommend anybody who doesn't have a massage gun to invest some money and buy one. So after yesterday's hill session, today it is back to another easy day, another recovery day to get the legs ready to go for another session. So normally on the weekly schedule, Thursdays they will be my recovery day. So today I have planned another easy run to just go at a nice and easy pace. So I'll see you after I finished my run.
2,000 years later.
Alright guys, so we are back from the run now. In total we did 10k. A nice and easy effort. The average pace was around 4:54, which is where I wanted things to be for an easy run. I like to keep my easy runs between 5:05 pace and 4:50. Now the splits, they were pretty consistent, but we did go a tiny little bit faster coming to the end of this run. But I think that doesn't really mean the end of the world, because it shows that I was feeling controlled, I was feeling comfortable, and to see the pace go up, it shows that I did have more energy in the legs. Now, some people say that easy runs, they're quite boring, there isn't much to them, and why am I showing it? Well, I like to show this because it shows that it's not just fast, flashy runs which you do every day, but you've also got to have the easy recovery miles, because they're just as important as those fast runs. So yeah, I want to show you every single run I do to show you it's not all fast runs. You do need to have those easy recovery miles as well. Now for the run today, I did have a hill at the 56th kilometer going up Woodbridge Road, and well, I like this route and I have done it quite a lot in the past, and you probably will see me do this run again in the future in this route, because this hill is in a similar proportion in the run to where the hill in Preston is in the Ipswich half marathon. So I feel this is quite good training. It's quite good mental training as well for the half marathon, because once we go up that hill, we also have to maintain the pace afterwards as well for quite a few more kilometers. I am quite tired of hills after the session yesterday, because as you can see, one of the kilometers, they did drop quite significantly, which is not ideal, but that does show we have more hill work to do, which is motivation. And also, is there a correlation between blisters and hills? Because I feel I have a very nasty little blister forming on my right foot, which again, it's not ideal, but I am quite used to having blisters, and I've also have lost the nail quite recently. But, you know, I feel you've got to put the foot into a nice hot salty water, and that does do the foot wonders. But is there a correlation between blisters and hills? Because I can feel a not very nice blister forming in that section of my foot, and I would not want to shoot any photos because it doesn't look nice. It's a good thing that Friday will be my rest day today because I have a big announcement to make because we are going on holiday.
Nice.
That's right, guys. Today I will be spending pretty much most of the day travelling up north because we're going to be stopping up at Nottingham overnight and do the parkrun in Nottingham tomorrow. But today it will be a rest day. I will still do some light exercise through some plyometrics. So we spent most of the morning travelling up north to Nottingham, and for lunch I had this homemade bacon bap. Once we arrived in the city, we visited many of the landmarks in Nottingham, including both of the football clubs. Both clubs are enriched in history, with Nottingham Forest winning the Champions League in 1980, whilst Notts County can boast they're the world's oldest professional club in England. So we've done a lot of walking through Nottingham today, and well, this is the first day of the holiday. And when people go on holiday, they tend to lose their fitness. They don't do any fitness exercises whatsoever. They don't eat very healthy. But I don't want to do that on the channel. Here, I want to keep my fitness. I want to keep to the half marathon schedule. And in fact, even with the holiday, I feel like I will gain more fitness by going on more walks, such as today through Nottingham and also in the Peak District, because tomorrow, after we've done the parkrun in Nottingham, we will be travelling up to Bakewell, which is in the Peak District. So yeah, many people, when they're on holiday, they like to relax, we could say, and not do any fitness, but that can lead to weeks of fitness become undone, and they come back from holiday losing a lot of progress. But here, we cannot afford for that to happen. So when we're on holiday, we will definitely still do quite a lot of running, and also keep the walking up as well, as that is also a good way of recovery and also keeping active whilst we're on holiday. I'm currently walking through an arboretum in Nottingham, and I can say now it is a very beautiful city. So after quite a long day of walking, we thought we would treat ourselves to a pizza express. I had an American pizza, which was very nice, but I can assure you now we won't be eating out every night, and we will be having some healthy meals on this holiday. Alright guys, so it is Saturday morning, which means we'll be doing the parkrun as promised. And the parkrun which we're doing in Nottingham will be the Woollerton Hall parkrun. The reason why is because it begins with the letter W, which would be a new letter for the alphabet, and also it does look like quite a scenic course. It goes through the grounds of the Woollerton Hall estate and then a lap round the pond. So yeah, quite looking forward to doing this parkrun today. I'll be honest with you guys, last night's sleep wasn't the best because the beds were pretty hard. So having saying that, today we're going to bring out an old pair of the Vaporfly to try and get a bit of speed. I also have an energy gel to try and help me, but the target for today is to try and go for sub 18:30, so anything below that time goal and I will be happy. Alright guys, so we have officially completed the Woollerton Hall parkrun now, and on my watch I got a time of 18:21, which means that is the time that I wanted, so naturally I'm quite happy with that. The course itself, it's very beautiful. You go along the main track and then past the Woollerton Hall and then do a lap around the lake and then back up again. So it's mostly on tarmac. There's a bit on trails. The course, it does have a hill coming back in between like the 3rd to 4th kilometre, which does take quite a lot out of you. So taking that, it's not the fastest course, it's not a PB course, but it's a very scenic course. And to get the time I did today, naturally, I'm quite pleased with that. So yeah, it's quite a solid effort, one which I am pleased with. And again, it's another bit of good hill training. After the parkrun was finished, we resumed our journey up north, stopping off at a Subway to have quite a healthy lunch. It was a sandwich with pickles, sweet corn, onion and chicken tikka in it. We did stop off at the village of Matlock, where we did have a 2-kilometre walk exploring the village. Right guys, so for dinner tonight, I told you we would have some healthy nights, because right here we've got some chicken for the protein, a range of vegetables including peas, sweet corn, carrots, cucumber, peppers, lettuce leaves and tomatoes. So yeah, it is quite a healthy dinner indeed. After dinner, we then explored the town which we will be staying in the Peak District for the next week of Bakewell. We then discovered the Monsell Trail, which went for over 14 kilometres, so therefore I'll be able to do some runs along here. This evening we added another 3 kilometres to the total amount we had walked that day. Now today was going to be a pretty active day with a lot of walking scheduled and a long run for later today, so therefore we decided to have a cooked breakfast. We've got some protein through some sausages and bacon, and there's also eggs, mushrooms and toast. So the first walk of the day started at the Monsell Head, where we started off by going down this very narrow footpath. The ground was pretty uneven, so we had to be careful where we placed our feet, and also we had to be careful of any stinger nettles. We however did get glimpses of this viaduct which we would eventually end up on top of. Continuing along this narrow footpath, we manoeuvred our way around the trees and the rocks on the ground, and eventually it would be worth it, as eventually after a few hundred meters we came across this stunning waterfall. With the goal of reaching the viaduct, we left the waterfall where we faced a new challenge. After carefully navigating around the cows, we could finally see the viaduct in the distance. However, we were only underneath the viaduct, and to get on top of the viaduct, well, we had some more walking to do. The path we were walking on soon became quite narrow again, and it also became very bumpy in some areas. Cautiously making our way up the hill, we finally reached our destination at the top of the viaduct. And would you look at that, our cow friends have made it onto the field. And making our way back to the car park, that was another 3.5 kilometers we had just walked. So we finished the walk home and we headed back to the apartment, and for lunch I would say this is pretty healthy. We've got some ham here, carrots, tomato and cucumber, and then some vegetable rice. So after lunch we headed out for, you guessed it, another walk. We started off through heading through the beautiful town of Bakewell, looking at some of the shops in the town. We then went over the Bakewell Bridge before heading onto the Monsell Trail. Alright guys, so currently we are walking along the Monsell Trail, which is basically a disused railway line which has been converted into a footpath which is quite wide. It's relatively flat, and basically it's about 14 or so kilometres going in one direction, and you turn around and go back, so it's in total 28 kilometres. And the Monsell Trail, you can walk along there, you can cycle along there, you can run along there, and currently we're actually walking towards the whole stop station where you can hire bikes to go along the Monsell Trail. And also at this station, this is where the Monsell Trail parkrun starts, which we're currently walking towards. So yeah, it's a relatively nice area with a lot of encouragement for fitness, and it is quite a nice walk. So yeah, currently we're going along the Monsell Trail. And the Monsell Trail, it is a nice way of exploring the Peak District. You go across many beautiful sites, scenic areas, including viaducts. So yeah, if you're going to the area of Bakewell or the Peak District, I would advise spending a day or so going along the Monsell Trail, because it really is a very beautiful place. As the Monsell Trail, it's lovely, flat, and it goes in one direction for so long. I would definitely consider running along here midweek, because then I won't have to learn the roads of Bakewell and just run in this direction, because we won't get lost because it's just one path. So yeah, I'll definitely consider running along here for one of my easy runs during the week. After we reached the Hassop station, we turned back round and walked home again. Alright guys, so we are back from the walk now, and today I have now officially walked just over 10k, and actually we are feeling it in the legs a bit, but that does not mean we are ending the exercise here for today, because now I have planned my long run for today. Yes, it's a Sunday, so I'll be doing a long run. Last week I did 19k, so this week we're upping the mileage by 1 more kilometre to 20k, which is the longest run I have done during this training block. Of course, it's quite a warm day, and also as we are on holiday, and we've also done quite a little bit of walking today, this long run is about getting it done, doing it at a nice and easy pace. And a little bit of advice for you: when you go on holidays and you want to do a run, you don't want to get lost, my advice to you would be to go in a straight line, an out and back route, instead of doing the loop, out and back. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be following the main path out of Bakewell along the main road and sticking to the path the whole way, and eventually when I pass for 10 kilometers I'll turn around, and therefore I won't risk getting lost, and this will be a nice and easy route, and I don't have to worry about getting lost. Nice and easy to do 20k. So yeah, I will see you after the run. Oh my days. Now that was the longest run of the half marathon training block, but also the hardest run of the half marathon training block. Strava is on the screen and so is the splits. And now that run, I can tell you now, I did not feel great. From kilometer run, I was wanting to give up, but we managed to stick through and complete the whole 20k, because honestly, from the start, I've already done 10 kilometers worth of walking today, and I felt very dehydrated. And also, the Peak District, it isn't ideal for running because it was quite a hilly run, and it was also quite windy in places. But having said that, we got it done just about. It wasn't pretty, but we did the run, and we completed the 20k, and that is officially me in the 20k digits now. That doesn't even make sense. I don't know, a lack of sleep, a lot of exercise already today, but that was a tough run. But I think the less said about it, the better. And I think it's just being able to hit the milestone, because really, for an easy run, it's not about having a certain pace, but I do like to feel good. I can tell you now, I did not feel the greatest today. But overall, that is it for this week of running. In total, we are around the same as we were in mileage wise than last week, which is slightly disappointing. And to summarise the week, I'd say it's definitely been the toughest week of the half marathon training block. It started off tough and it ended tough, because Jaffa Monday we found that tough, and today on the long run we found it tough. But during the midweek, I actually felt pretty good on the runs midweek. Both of the easy 10Ks, the hill session and the park run, I felt pretty good then. So I'd say it's a mix of emotions, but overall, we've managed to stick through. We're not injured at the moment, which is always good. But we've just got to build from here. And yeah, overall, it's a mix of emotions, but we'll take it. Now, I will be in the Peak District for another week, so we will still have some more runs in the area. And again, we will be doing a lot of walking and a lot of cycling next week, potentially, because we might cycle down the Monsell Trail. We're not entirely sure yet. But yeah, I know this video is probably slightly on the longer side, so I'll end it here now. But if you do enjoy the content you see on the channel, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.